There is a productivity system out there that forces you to prioritize your tasks better in order to help you get more done. And I'm going to tell you all about it. This priority system that I'm talking about is called must, should, want. And you might have heard of it. The idea is pretty straightforward. As you wake up in the day, you first thing sort of create a list of the things you need to do for that day, and then you go through and you categorize them into must, should, and want. And the reason that this works is because it forces you to think about where each task fits in your day and whether or not it can be pushed. One of the big reasons why we struggle to be productive and why we struggle to get things done each day is simply because we spend time on tasks that really aren't that important. We focus our time on things that feel urgent but aren't actually important to get done in that moment. Things that are maybe timely but don't need to be done right now. And that time and energy spent there, as well as the time and energy spent switching to something else, drives us crazy. It makes it so challenging to stay focused and to make things work as we switch from task to task, not to mention, and you've probably experienced this yourself, as you go through the rest of your day, you start to realize time is flying by. All of those little 5, 10, 15, 20-minute tasks that you've spent your energy and time on throughout the day, they add up quickly. They don't feel like it, but they add up very quickly. And so the purpose of this system is to help you organize prior to the day starting so that you know what are the things that absolutely have to get done. What is it that if the day ends and only these things are done, I'm in a good spot. And those are your musts. Then you've got the second category, the should. And these are the things that you'd like to do. You should do them. They're important to be done. In fact, they might be due very soon. However, today doesn't absolutely 100% have to be the time that you do it. And then finally, you have the third category, want. These are the things that you want to do. In an ideal world, you would get them done today, but they can be pushed. Their due date isn't for a little while. They're not that urgent. They can be pushed if you run out of time. So when you start your day this way, you list out all of the things that in that moment you can think of. So it might be stuff related to work, stuff related to your personal life, stuff related to whatever you've got going on. You sit down and you list all of those things out. Once you do that, you then go through line by line and you categorize each task. You ask yourself honestly, is this a must? Is this a should? Or is this a want? And I would actually say, to take this a step further, I would go down the line and rate everything on a scale of 1 to 3 of how much of a must. I know that's a weird sort of phrasing, but how much of a must is this specific task? On a scale of 1 to 3, and here's the kicker, you can't use 2. So you're going to go down each task. You're going to ask yourself, do I need to do this today? Scale of 1 to 3. If it's a 3, then that's a must. If it's a 1, then that we'll come back to that in a second. So go through, write down all the things that are 3s. You remember, you cannot use the number 2. That's just a cop-out. 1 to 3, and you cannot use 2. So from there, you write down each of the tasks that get a 3, those are your musts. You move that over to a new list. Then you go down the line again and you ask yourself the same question. Scale of 1 to 3, how important is this right now? Again, you cannot use the number 2. Then you go through each of the things that get 3 in this new round. Those are your shoulds. They're important, but they can be pushed. They're not the musts. Remember, you already pulled those out of the list. So you're not looking at those anymore. They're in their own list. They're off in fairy tale land. Now you're just looking at the remaining list and you're saying, scale of 1 to 3, I cannot use 2. How important is this right now, today? Am I going to die if this isn't done? The things that come up as 3, those are your shoulds. And then finally, everything that's remaining, that's your ones. And that's going to give you a really solid process. As long as you do it, as long as you make this a habit, maybe do it over your morning coffee as you're making breakfast, like whatever you need to do, as long as you make this a part of your routine, you're going to be more productive each day. And the reason that's going to happen is simply because you're going to know where to put your energy and your time. Now, I do want to address one thing. Most of us are not self-employed. Most of us cannot necessarily control what it is we work on a day-to-day basis when it comes to our jobs. So if that's you, for that situation, what I would do is still go through this list, still include the stuff for your personal life as well as the stuff for your professional life, and intermingle that list. Then you now have your own personal sort of like priority list. From there, that's where you start. The professional stuff, when you get to work, that's where you start. If somebody needs something from you, if an email comes in and it's asking you to do something, if your boss wants to have a meeting, whatever things pop up throughout the day that you might not have control over, take 5 seconds and give yourself that 1 to 3 scale again. How important is this right now? 1 to 3, cannot use the number 2. If the answer is 3, then you put it to the top of your list, because not only do you have the importance of it, but you also have someone else relying on you for it. If the answer is a 1 and you're in a position to say no, you just reply and say, hey, give me 10 minutes, give me an hour, give me however long. I'm trying to focus on this other thing right now. And again, I know not everyone is in the position to be able to do that. Whatever you're able to do in order to push back just a little bit on those things that are not 3s, that's what you should do. So that is the must, should, want system. I modified it a little bit by giving you a rating scale for how to prioritize the tasks. Just as a quick recap, when you wake up in the morning, make a list of everything you know you need to do for that day, both personal and professional. Go through and ask yourself, first, scale of 1 to 3, I cannot use 2. What here has to be done today? Those are your musts. Then you go back to the remainder of the list, scale of 1 to 3 again, what needs to be done? The 3s, those are your shoulds. And then finally, your wants are the remainder of that list. Then throughout the day, as things pop up, you give yourself that quick evaluation again, 1 to 3. How important is this? If it's a request from someone else and it scores a 3, it goes to the top of the list. And then from there, you just need to be diligent about working through that list. So I hope that system helps you. If it did, leave a comment over on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, the link to the video is in the description of the episode. If you're watching on YouTube right now, hi. Nice to meet you. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this system and any other productivity systems you've used. I've been Greg Clunis. Thank you for being here. And remember that all big changes come from the tiny leaps you take every day.